If you thought the Trump family couldn't sink any lower into the cesspool that they've turned our politics into, well, they just grabbed the shovel and kept digging. I'm sure you've heard by now that Joe Biden had revealed his cancer diagnosis today. Don Jr. tweeted this in response to that news that he's been diagnosed with prostate cancer. What I want to know is, how did Dr. Jill Biden miss stage 5 metastatic cancer, or is this yet another cover-up? I mean, dear God, dude. The guy and his family just revealed a cancer diagnosis, and Don Jr.'s instinct here is to mock both him and his wife? I would ask what kind of dog-shit human being does that, but I suppose that question's already answered itself. But here's the thing. This isn't just about Don Jr. being a terrible person, which, let's face it, is hardly breaking news. This is about an entire administration and family who have absolutely zero sense of decency or boundaries. There is no floor with these people. There's no moment too solemn, no tragedy too personal, no line they won't cross if they think it'll get them a few more retweets or some more attention from their base. When any press is good press becomes your North Star, then this is the kind of person you become, devoid of any shred of humanity and instead just throwing out barbs so that people can look at you because any moment you're not in the spotlight is a personal failing. Wonder where he got that from. When I say that the Trump family is the worst that humanity has to offer, I'm not being facetious. And look, I'm not naive here. Politics is and always has been a contact sport. There's always been cheap shots and low blows, but there used to be some moments that were off limits. Some family tragedies, serious health issues, deaths of loved ones. There were times when people from both sides would be capable of putting aside their differences and just acting like human beings. But the Trump family has completely obliterated that norm. They've created a political culture where nothing is sacred, where basic human decency is seen as weakness, where a cancer diagnosis is yet one more opportunity for a partisan attack and some retweets. Like, I'm sorry, but there are times in life where it's okay to drop your shitty grudges, put politics aside, and act like a decent human being. A cancer diagnosis happens to be one of those times. When somebody's facing a life-threatening illness, the bare minimum expectation should be that you don't use it as an opportunity to score a cheap political point. But the Trump family seems pathologically incapable of meeting even that low bar. And it's not just them, it's the entire ecosystem they've created on the right, where cruelty isn't just accepted, it is rewarded. Where showing basic empathy for your political opponents makes you some traitor to the cause. But that's what happens when you have a political movement that is completely untethered from reality and addicted to conspiracy theories. Every piece of news, every development, every human tragedy has to be folded into some grand narrative about deep state cover-ups and secret plots. In fact, just today, that's actually come back to bite some Trump administration officials. Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. Here's what they said today.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Are we going to be surprised at what you learned?
You know what, Maria? Kash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However, I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, and whether you like it or not is up to you. If there was a big explosive there, right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent, and my personal friendship, as a director does with the president, give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. If you can think of one, there isn't. There in some of these cases, the there you're looking for is not there. And I know people, I get it. I understand. It's not there. If it was there, we would have told you.
And yet, as the result of that, they've earned the ire of their former fans. One blogger for the right-wing site Red State wrote, Bongino makes a huge confession today that cuts against his years of conspiratorial bomb-throwing on his podcast and TV show. He concedes that in the investigation of the 2 assassination attempts, there is not a there in terms of the truth being hidden. He says, if there was a there, then he would have told you. Social media influencer Bongino always claimed there was a there, and there were conspiracies in the government, the deep state, to keep them covered covered up. But in the interview today, he says, in discussing the 2 assassination attempts, that there simply isn't much more to know than that which has already been made public. That should be a cautionary signal to many on this site. And frankly, that's tame compared to what his other fans wrote. This statement by itself is enough reason for me never to believe another word that Dan Bongino says: deep state traitor. Epstein's case closed with a wink. Accountability? The same bureau that spied on Trump now wants trust after years of targeting conservatives? Please. Real transparency starts with dismantling the 2-tiered system protecting DC elites. Clean up your own house before lecturing us on priorities. That's extremely insulting to the intelligence of the people who pay your salary. And the responses like that go on and on. But here's the thing. Bongino himself spent years whipping his audience into a frenzy with right-wing conspiracy theories. Now that he's in a position where he could finally substantiate his own lies, and can't, his audience is turning against him. But this is part and parcel of the right-wing media ecosystem. They traffic solely in conspiracy theories and lies because it's more convenient than the truth. Now sometimes, as is the case with Bongino, they get caught running away from the same monster they created. But Don Jr., for his part, isn't in a position of power, and so he can spread conspiracy theories unburdened by any governmental agency or responsibilities. And that's exactly what he's doing. And let's be clear about something else. This kind of rhetoric didn't come out of nowhere. The liberal media, for its part, has been obsessing over Biden's health for years now, treating every single stumble as the biggest scandal in American history. They have normalized this constant focus on the physical and mental state of Joe Biden, turning what should be private medical issues into public spectacles. Take the new book that Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson have been hawking relentlessly on TV, to the point where much of our mainstream media coverage still, in May of 2025, is focused on Biden's mental state, while Donald Trump is taking $400 million bribes and making billions in his cryptocurrency venture. After spending years normalizing this obsessive focus on Joe Biden's health, after making his physical condition a topic for endless speculation, is it any wonder that Don Jr. feels empowered to mock a cancer diagnosis? And of course, the media is going to pretend to be shocked and appalled by Don Jr.'s comments, but they helped create the environment where this kind of attack is possible. They blurred the line between legitimate questions about a president's fitness for office and ghoulish speculation about an elderly man's health several months after he's already left office. But hey, as long as they sell that book, then I guess it's worth it, huh? And so now we are living with the consequences, a political culture where nothing is off limits, where basic human decency is seen as optional, and where a cancer diagnosis is just one more opportunity for a partisan attack. Perhaps somebody with a shred of humanity can tell Don Jr. to log off and touch grass, and that he should probably also consider the fact that there's going to come a day when he and his loved ones learn that humans don't live forever, including them, and that he's giving the rest of the world a roadmap on how to treat the Trump family when that time finally arrives. You get what you put out, and what he's putting out right now is the worst that humanity has to offer. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.